I didn't really look at it that way. You know what I mean? But you see what I'm saying with the dynamic, you know what I mean, way
yeah,
of looking at
yeah,
things, you know what I mean? The creative way of looking at things definitely keeps things real interesting. And it's why it's always
very
great
much so.
to chat with you guys because there's always something to learn. Like, you know, it's like I never have a conversation with these guys and never have something I haven't taken away. You
No,
know what I
I hear that,
mean?
and I appreciate that as well.
Which is dope.
I
You know what I
appreciate that.
mean? You know, I
Yeah,
think
but
that's
but in saying that, in the same breath, we also learn from yourself as well because you're a character that your perspective view is very different as well, and different in a good way because then it also keeps us on our toes, keeps us challenged in terms of the feedback that you give from what we say, and then vice versa. So we keep on, growing with one another and going forward for great things, personal and economical. So yeah,
no,
it's all good, man.
for sure. And linking all of that into this, right? You know
Yeah,
how
yeah, yeah,
we were saying with the horse with the blinders, right? And it's
yeah,
just one way it looks towards its goal, and it's not startled by what's
yeah,
around it.
yeah.
Is that now? Like, well, actually, Richard was saying that it's like a buffet.
Yeah, I mean,
And
not exactly like a buffet. I think it's. I mean, there's options, isn't there? There's things maybe you're attracted to, automatically, and there's other things you've got to try out, I suppose. But yeah, I think nowadays in our generation, everything's based on your looks, I suppose. I mean, John,
True, true.
would you
Very,
agree
very
with that?
aesthetic. Looking at it from an aesthetic point of view.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
which I find interesting. Would you say that you're a man of aesthetics as well, or are you more of the?
I'm obviously, of course, when you first meet the opposite sex, obviously you're attracted to a woman. You like the look of her, the silhouette of the individual that you're looking at. So you approach on that premise. You like the look of that person. You want to get to know that person based upon the look. So for me, anyone that tells you that it wasn't the look that attracted me to that person, they're lying on the basis that we all are attracted to something. And then obviously just like first impressions, when you turn up for an interview, you're wearing a suit, you look smart, you're sharp, you smell fresh, etc. Not that people smell you first before they see you, but in some cases that
In
is the
some
case. They
cases,
smell you first before they see you, and then it's an issue. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So first impressions count for a lot. So how you look, just like you're preparing for an interview, as I stated, when you approach a female or a female approaches a male, they're looking at you, how you're dressed for the occasion that you're at, or wherever you're going off to work, or the gym, or wherever it may be. You're looking at that person, body parts, everything, the whole 100. So if that's the case, and based upon that, you then have to find something deeper than just an aesthetic look, and that comes after the initial attraction.
yeah, I'm with you.
That comes after, for me and my experience, that comes after. Then some people realize, oh, wow, I didn't know you were that deep, or you're not really my cup of tea. We're not vibing, or we can never vibe because you like that, or you do this. You find out the person didn't smoke that evening, but the next day you meet them, they're smoking.
Yeah.
That's a put off for you.
That's a
all
big
these
one.
many variables, many a variable that can put you off from the aesthetic look of someone, or the way that they speak, postcodes, etc. These are all relevant things that give you your likability or dislikability for someone,
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you.
Okay, yeah.
And for someone like you who's been fortunate to date on both sides of the spectrum,
Yeah.
or I would say governments, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's your outtake on that? Some would say black women very difficult.
I didn't say that, but yeah.
Richard said that earlier today.
No. It's you know what?
You know what? You're taking it on the chin, which you're just putting it out there based upon.
Yeah, it's not even that,
the normal census is and what people have said, or what people's experiences are. But for me, I wouldn't say black women are difficult. No, women are difficult. Full stop. In a nutshell, doesn't matter the color. Women are difficult to understand, to comprehend, to sometimes maybe get into their thought process of maybe why they've done something or said something, just as equally as men. In a women's perspective, they're difficult. But it's about finding that right one, the understanding, that fine, beautiful equilibrium where you're both conversing or you're both vibing at the same tone, at the same sort of guitar string. You're both playing the same music.
Yeah.
And once you get to that level of understanding, be it a month, 5 months, 5 years, you'll get there and you'll be like, right, all the work was worth it. Because all relationships do take work, even the best ones.
I mean, do you think that's the reason why a lot of relationships now don't work out? Because there's no understanding there?
I believe that it's not that there's a lack of understanding, there's a lack of time.
Right.
A lack of time and people not wanting to waste time on the wrong person.
Yeah,
That's the key
makes
here.
sense.
Wasting time on the wrong person. Youngsters these days are not willing to do. Now, if I find someone and we're vibing, be it male or female, lovely, let's get on with it. I get you, you get me. But then equally, I was speaking to someone a couple of days ago, and what certain females want from a male individual and what a male individual wants from a female, the female's boxes to tick are very, very long. A male individual's requirements,
quite short.
from my perspective, are very minimal. There's not a lot. To be able to cook for yourself, because clearly if I wasn't here, you'd be cooking for yourself. Be able to manage your house, your space. Basic things like that, certain individuals can't do, male and female. Now, I say male and female to make it equal, but then equally, I'm talking from a female perspective, like on a male perspective on a female. Now, if I can cook and I can clean and I can do all these sorts of things, being married to an individual that can't, but I'm going to now educate you or train you to do these things, then it's like I'm a trainer then, aren't I?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think the upbringing plays a key part in that as well?
Upbringing does play a key part. From mother or father to implement those things whilst they're younger is beneficial. Right. Like to enjoy chores. I used to do chores and sing, but before I used to cry because it's long. No one wants to do chores on a Saturday morning when they want to run out and go and play with their friends or whatever it may be. No one wants to do that. But there's certain things in life you have to do so that when you're older, you're able to manage your home as an individual, singly, and then as a couple or a family person. You know, you've got children and, you know, your husband or your wife. You have to learn these things. So it's certain things you learn when you're with your parents. What you don't learn when you're with your parents, you learn when you're in your marriage.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, because I think like nowadays, the generation, we live in luxury, don't we? So there's things that we have to do, but we know people doing it for us. But I don't really. It made a good point about sort of doing that at a young age to prepare you for later on in life. But I don't really feel as if a lot of the younger people nowadays actually think that far. To be honest,
no, they don't. They don't, because I teach in a school, so my perception of what I try to instill in my youngsters is based upon my experiences growing up. So, and my wisdom on those topic matters, those subject matters. A lot of the children, you know, that I cater for come from homes where maybe one or two individuals are absent from that sort of tutelage. So it's very important. It's very important for me to maybe be that surrogate and try and assist them, the best way I can. But then sometimes it's very hard because then, you know, they have half term, they have 6 weeks holiday, and then they go back into their old habits. But equally, if you're returning home to someone that you're trying to instill something in them by showing them, practice what you preach. And then the individual in question will see what you do in order to then start picking up on doing things for themselves, you know, things that they weren't doing before maybe.
Yeah, makes sense.
What would you say is like a good age for people to start getting into relationships or to, you know, starting exploring that area of their life?
Well, you can have companions. You know, you can have companions where you are getting to know the opposite sex, i.e. how they tick, how they think. You know, when you're in that person's company, you get to know about how women work. And for a female, you get to know how male individuals work. Because some females based their knowledge of how males work upon maybe brothers or cousins. But these are totally different individuals. You see them now and again. You may visit them very often, but then you don't live with them.
Yeah.
And equally, they're your family members. So it's almost like they by default have to like you. Do you understand? So, you know, in terms of that perspective, I want a guy to be like my cousin because he always buys me McDonald's when he goes out, or something silly, or when he comes over, or he always drops me money. I want him to be like my dad because my dad has paid for my phone bill for the rest of my in my younger years. You know, little things like that. You're not always going to get that from the individual that you choose as a suitor. So your expectancy shouldn't be too high. You should only expect what the individual is willing to show you or give you. And then you try your best to meet that person halfway.
I mean, I think that's what I was saying to Francis before, actually. It's like, what I was saying about the black women, to clarify, was that maybe the expectancy, the perception is that they expect too much from people. But I don't know. I mean, when it comes to expectancy, I think a lot of us maybe put on a false impression of ourselves. So
True.
we
Yeah,
advertise
yeah.
ourselves in a way that's not true. So when that
True. I
woman
get you.
sees us, they in their mind decide that we're that type of person. So if you're renting a car and it's not yours, but you're saying it is your car, they're gonna think, hang on a minute, this guy's a wealthy guy. He's gonna drive me around all these places. But if you know that that's not you, that's not how you actually are. You're just putting a pressure on yourself. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I
So,
think,
but based upon what you're saying, it's a pressure.
yeah,
It's pressure, as you just stated. It's pressure you put on yourself in order to appease
yeah,
the
exactly,
image,
exactly.
to acquire that young lady on that pretense.
Mm.
But then you'll soon find out that when all the glitz and glams goes, then you're left, with egg on your face, because then you're not able to keep up appearances.
That's what's exactly that's pretty much it, because you're going to go
Yeah.
home at night, even though with pretending to have a lot of money, but when you can't pay your light bill and you can't afford milk and stuff, she doesn't
Yeah.
know that. She's thinking, well, this guy's going to go back to his nice little luxury home,
Yeah.
in Essex or something like that, and meanwhile he's living in a council flat. He can't afford milk. He hasn't got a bed. Do you know what I mean? These things, because you're putting an impression that's not true. So you're putting that pressure to,
Yeah.
as you said, to keep on, to keep the acts up, really. And that's just, as you
100%.
said,
100%. Yeah.
when they find
And
you
then
out.
equally, they're living at home with their mum. Living at
Exactly,
home
yeah.
with their mum, or sharing a bunk bed with their brother still at the age of 21, 22. But yet still you're giving off the impression, those like the long nude coats and the bag,
That's it,
etc.,
yeah.
and the collar up and the turtleneck
Yeah.
and the Chelsea boots. Lovely. You look fresh, you look fly, but your where you've come from to reach that venue is totally different. That transition is totally off. So being true to yourself is what's needed.
That's it.
Being true to yourself is what's needed. And when you're true to yourself, you'll find the truth.
Yeah, no,
Delivered to you, mirror imaged by the female that approaches you.
That's facts. That's
true.
That's a nugget. See, I told you, there's always something to take away. There's always something to take away. See, that's a nugget right there. You gotta be true to yourself.
It's a mirror image. You see what you see. If you see something that doesn't make sense, or it's a pretense, then you yourself know when you leave your house that evening, the facade that you're going to create when you meet a young lady, or a young lady meeting a male individual, it's not truthful. It won't last long, and you have to keep up appearances. You'll be stressed doing it. What's the point when you can just be honest? I wish to find someone to grow with. Lovely. Who's going to deny that? And if the person denies you that, they're not the right one for you.
That's true.
I think it's a patience as well. I don't think a lot of us have patience to wait for that right person.
Patience, trust, time, want quick money, all these things, all these variables that these youngsters look at these, so-called stars and celebrities and so forth. They want the same thing. They want it quick. They want it now. But they don't understand the graft that it's taken that individual to acquire that job role. Some people, yes, their mums and dads have been in the business, so they get a leg up. Fine. Some don't, and they have to graft hard. Morgan Freeman, I quote him, or I give you a synopsis of how he started. He started at the age of 54 to make sense of what he's acting and what he was doing. But it just proves to you don't give up. 54. Imagine.
Yeah,
half your lifetime
that would have
you've
been
spent
curtains.
Yeah, trying to get to a point where you're going to be recognised and acknowledged. Now you can't listen to an advert about hearing his voice.
Man,
do you understand?
If you just type in
all these
God,
things are all relevant. It's all relevant. So if people take time, take time, and I also bring in religion to this, primarily because I do pray. So when you pray, God answers. That's my portion. I'm not saying it's everyone else's portion, or they should turn to it, because then they'll seek, they'll see the truth and so forth. Everyone's road is different, but my road, God's so good. My parents have brought me up in the Catholic faith. A lot of people have different denominations of religion that they follow, and they pray. Lovely. If you pray and that's your portion, certain things will be revealed to you. So either you take action on those things that are revealed, or you don't, and you let life, twist you up and spin you around. But equally, if you follow and you see the signs, you'll be blessed. And there's a lot of things that happen in our youth that have stopped us from being incarcerated, or going with maybe the wrong person, or maybe all sorts of things. So you have to read the signs.
Yeah, no, for sure. And being in an interracial relationship yourself, or marriage, actually, I wouldn't even say relationship, marriage.
Yeah.
What would you say is the culture differences, on your side? I mean, you're a Ghanaian who was born right here in London town. So
East Dulwich, yeah.
East Dulwich, so how would you say that's all gone down culturally?
Well, culturally, in terms of the cohesion, I would say, because my Mrs.'s parents have been so embracive, there hasn't really been any issues as such. But I'm sure if I went into a household that was very rejecting the union, and maybe family members would be negative and this and another, it'd be a different story. Maybe I'll be stressed, or maybe I'll be sort of like piping up now by saying, "Oh, this happened and that happened." But I really haven't had that, and I think that's down to good family, good family that you marry into a good person by default that you couple up with, and then you try and understand both sides of the coin, both cultures. Our daughter is half Cypriot and half Ghanaian. Now, for me, that's a match made in heaven. Now, a male individual would go, "Oh, yeah, she's half Ghanaian and she's half this. Oh, lovely." In the beginning stages of us raising our daughter to reach a certain point, it's not been a struggle at all, because she's one, and we're continuing to immerse her in both cultures and both languages. Lovely, no problem.
Yeah, no, she's definitely blessed. I mean, to be able to have both sides of the fence.
I appreciate that.
That's people are paying money to go and also add more cultures. But when you're born with the two, and let's add the United Kingdom,
two powerful ones,
and you're British. Yeah, I mean, so you get all
mix,
free, all in one person. That's
free for the price of two. They say.
So that is real dope. What would you say for like the black women, which be like, you know what, we've lost another one? Is there something
that rhetoric is, as far as I'm concerned, you've lost another one. Lost another what? I don't belong to you. I am my own person. I was born from my parents, and if I belong to anyone, it's them I belong to. They gave birth to me, they raised me, and they've guided me. So I've taken their tutelage and their wisdom, and I've made a choice. Now I live in the Western world, where you have a Bassett's assortment of individuals to choose from, and individuals, I mean, I've dated, Ghanaian women. I've dated also from every land. It doesn't matter. It's who you vibe with, who you see a future with, who you're loving, who you love. That's it.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with anything else.
It's really true.
Shouldn't have anything to do with anything else. We're past that now. So don't get me wrong. The preference would be, oh yes, marry your own. It's the only way. No. I've seen the only way, and it's the wrong way for some people that have married their own. Yeah, so what do you tell me? Is it based upon culture and the land, or is it based upon who you choose and if they're right for you? That's it.
I mean, this is what I like, because the thing is, John, I come from I've got interracial relationship myself. So my girlfriend's half Irish, half Irish, half English, and half Jamaican. So she's not a typical Ghanaian girl.
Come on, you didn't have to say typical Ghanaian.
No, I'm not saying not in that. You know what? Just edit that out. Edit that part out. But it's like, you know what? Like I've known her for a long, long time, and we didn't get together until I think. It's 2017. But it's I agree I like what you said about just having a connection if they're right for you. I feel as if in our culture there's too much emphasis on marrying your own, just simply because of the whole cultural celebration. Do you know what I mean? It's not about how you feel about the person, or whether they're respectful to you and your culture as such. I feel as if people like to marry their own for the outside look. So if you've got that massive celebration, which is nice to have everyone sort of embracing the Ghanaian culture, but sometimes it's about how actually feel about the person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, very true. And that, I feel, very good point, Richard. And that, I feel, that all gets lost in translation, lost in the melee.
Yeah.
As long as you're with a Ghanaian, that's it, lovely.
Yeah,
doesn't matter about anything else. Whether you live in a shed or a shack, or you're one on top of each other and living under some sort of bridge, they're not fussed. As long as you're going, no, that's not a correct mindset.
Yeah. And times moved on, as you said as well. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really see as if, I mean, I think our parents, they want the best for us, but at the same time,
100%,
they want the best for us. But I'm sure they want the kids to be happy. That's the most important
thing.
Very
true. And, primarily,
if you're with someone if you're with someone who maybe is not from the same cultural background as yourself, but they, in the same way, want to embrace where you come from, that's just as beautiful. Do you know what I mean? But I feel as if some
exactly.
people, they're stuck in the old sort of Flintstone ages where, you've got to be the person who's just like yourself. But in 2019 now, in fact, society's moved on. I mean, if that's how they really felt. Sorry if I'm ranting here, by the way.
No, sorry.
Go on. No,
if that's how they really felt, they should have come to London. They shouldn't have had us here, have us exposed to, different races, schools where we can learn a different language, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Very true, very true. Your point is very, very valid, and I'll fully concur with your point and raise you this on the basis of parents' mindsets and moving over for better opportunities and this, that, and the other. The likelihood that you may date outside of your race is higher than being in Ghana, where there's only Ghanaians, primarily. So equally, no one can begrudge you for choosing an individual that is from a different culture, because equally, this is a multicultural society we live in now. And equally, as you said, be it to 2019, mindsets and perceptions need to change in order to embrace that new movement. But then equally, I say this, a lot of old schoolers, aunts, uncles, nanas, or hinimas and so forth, they will have a different perception because they were brought up in the old times. But unfortunately, they will grow older. Sorry to say, they will no longer be here. And then a new level of individual will, come about where the generations will grow here, like you have in America, where they only have the mindset that they were born there. Because the generations are so far, so far grown and long, that we don't even relate to Ghana or Nigeria or Jamaica or whoever. We're just African Americans, and that's that, because they've lived in the land and they've gone to school there and so forth. So when you have that sort of melee of heritage and timeline of relatives, it's not. You can't blame people. You can't blame people for choosing individuals that they see in front of them.
So would you say that you haven't had any backlash, so to speak?
No backlash. You only get the normal, we're Bruni or this, that, and all this other palaver. But I'm like, no. When you're Bruni, she's from Cyprus specifically. So let's just get that right, first and foremost. It's not a case of you trying to say, because when you're Ghanaian, so let's demote her. No, you have to acknowledge her. She's my queen, and I will allow you to respect her as such. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
I'm really happy you said that, because this helps me now going forward. So
no, bro. Don't ever take a knock for a choice you've made because it displeases someone else. That's just ridiculous. As far as I'm concerned, people make choices every day. Choices have probably been made for you right now, being made for you, and you don't even know about it. But when you get home, probably there'll be a conversation. I've decided this or I've decided that. But as you grow, you learn to be involved in the decision making in order to make your scenario, your path make sense. No one can dictate for you where you need to go. You will then grow and know where you need to go, as you have done. You've taken the first step.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like you said, the generation which was before us, they had their way of thinking. They had their mindset, and what they were limited to what they were exposed to. So that's why I guess they are the way they are, and they say what they do say. And of course, we're also exposed to, a wider range of different types of people. And a lot of the people we've even grown up with. So to us, we don't even see them any different from ourselves. You know what I mean? So
100%. Yeah,
it's definitely very different. For me, when we're talking about like race, maybe broadening the spectrum a little bit, I feel like when you're in London, you're living in the bubble of it being cosmopolitan, and
very true.
Everyone is pretty much here in London. But when you branch further out, let's say, for example, if you and the wife and kid went out to Dunstable or something, I think you'll be looked at very, sideways.
But then the demographic there is predominantly white. So the more north you go, or the more outwardly you go, the more populated by a less multicultural community that will be upon you. So you have to embrace that and just get on with your daily grind. You are a human being. You live, you breathe, you eat, you sleep, you pray, you dream, you aspire. So who has any right to say, because of your union, you're not meant to have an easy life or a relaxed life, that someone needs to come and plague you with headaches because of what your partner choice. That's not right, not at all. Because I could say, well, you've chosen an individual that's from Sweden, but then you're Polish. But because you both look the same color, I'm going to now stigmatize your missus because she's from somewhere different to you. Nonsense. You don't know. You don't know. But because there's a significant difference in color, you're going to make comments about it. That's not a right move as far as I'm concerned. And then equally, those individuals you don't need to, converse with or be around. The less people like that there are in the world, the better the place is, as far as I'm concerned.
So what advice would you give people? I mean, like, you got someone like Richard, and then you got other people which, like, I've heard of stories where, there's some people which, their parents are just not having it. Like, so we're not coming to the marriage, we're not giving it our
Well,
blessing.
If you're not coming to the wedding, this is the person that I've chosen to be with. Now, if you choose to abstain from my great day that I've planned with you in mind, and you're choosing to abstain because of my choice, then obviously the connection stops there, doesn't it, really? Because you brought me up to be a very intellectual and clever person in terms of making choices and so forth, moving forward. But then yet still I've made a choice and you're almost backtracking, saying, no, this choice, I don't like it. Choose someone, marry someone else. Like, what's that? Who in their right mind will say that to their child? Although I have heard stories where that has been said, and maybe that individual, male or female, has made that choice.
Yeah.
And decided not to be with that individual because of the parents say so. It's not unheard of. Just like you have honor killings in certain people's cultures, it's dishonorable to do such a thing. If I say you need to go and marry this person, you need to marry them and be there with bells on. Otherwise, we're going to have problems. We're going to have problems.
Yeah,
now, when you hear of all these things, it's all negative ways of coexisting. This is what brings about wars. Delving into another matter, it brings about wars from different lands. Oh, don't marry this one from here because they live by the sea, the water. Don't go here. And this one here, the northerners, don't go there. So
they get it harsh, don't they?
If you bring, do you understand?
Really
so
they get it really harsh.
All these barriers that you've been taught since you were young. But sometimes you can't help but you mill in, you embrace where you live because this is where you live, and you get on with it, and you meet someone that you like, and you hope that your parents like the individual too. That's it.
It's weird because I think a lot of us, when we're growing up, when we're born, you don't choose to be black, you don't choose to be Ghanaian, you don't choose to be from a certain point. So when someone sort of comes around and sort of, knocks you for where you come from, it's, well, hang on a minute, you might be a different race to me or different from different culture, but you didn't choose to be that. You just grew up in that way. So what right do you have to make my life difficult because I was born like this? Do you know what I mean? It's silly. Do you know what I mean?
It's definitely
and this is where racism stems from. This is where racism stems from in terms of a suspicious curiosity on a particular group or sect of people, where they're from, how they conduct themselves, the negative encounters certain people have had with them. So they then stereotype all of us and put us in a basket and say, I see free male, please check him. He's going to steal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So in a nutshell, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. If I raise my voice, I'm considered angry. If I talk quietly, what's wrong, John? What's wrong today? Is something the matter? So where do you put yourself in that respect?
This is where, someone the other day said to me that, what's limiting me is just this. And then he just tapped his skin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, I think we're living in a time now where we can see that those limitations are being broken through by some of our brothers and sisters with our complexion. What I mean?
Yeah. Breaking down barriers.
Yes. Yeah. Which is great to see. But at the same time, I can also see, that's happening on one end of the spectrum, and then there's the other side of the spectrum, whereas, the grind is definitely a lot tougher. You understand?
Very true,
for example, if you're a black kid, I saw in the news there's a school in East London where I think 41 students have made it into Oxford or Cambridge and places like that. Oh, yes,
of course, from a normal school funded by the local authority. So
that's right, yes. And so if you're like a black kid which is made it and you're off to one of those schools and you look around, you won't find too many representation of yourself, which then in my mind, I think also kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to fit in. Because you naturally gravitate to people which kind of look like you, vibe like you, you know what I mean, and things maybe even think like you. And I don't even know how that can be balanced in life, even in the workplace. Like you go to. I mean, I've kind of worked in the center of London for as long as I've been working, and I found that like, where are we?
I've worked in offices. I've worked in quite a few offices before, and it's like you do come across maybe the odd black person here and there, but there's not a majority, or there's not even half.
I almost feel like sometimes you're hired to meet a quota of some sort, but not because they actually want you to be there and you're skilled.
I get you.
And you're good at what you do, and that's why we have you here. It's more because we need to fulfill a number.
A sort of equal opportunities.
That's it.
Quota or charter, should I say? Yeah. So I get you totally, but equally in saying all what you said, I totally agree. But then obviously there's barriers to entry, isn't there? In terms of, like look at the political game in terms of Parliament. I was looking at the Houses of Parliament, the House of Commons, sorry, and I couldn't really see much representative, figures from our domain.
No.
In fighting our corner. Apart from what I think this gentleman's name is David Lambie.
Well, and you know what's funny, but Lambie, he represents
David Lambie,
Tottenham,
and then
right?
the Diane Abbott.
Abbott,
other than them
Hackney.
two, who's really
you got
the individual that was going to run for Labour? The individual, and he pulled out.
Chuka Aruma or something like that.
That's the young man I'm referring to. Yeah. So apart from those three, who's really there?
I couldn't tell you. There was
one. Khan, the mayor. That's it. Who's there? Really?
Yeah, and even for him, he's with the other, not the other side, but he's with the Asians. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I mean? Like,
he's helping his brothers out.
Yeah, he's helping his set. And it's like, what I find weird is that so like we were here before them, but they have yet found a way to excel a lot faster than we have. John, and you work in the school. How did you see that? Like at the academic level?
What in what regard?
In regards to, let's say, students excelling, like the whites, the blacks, the Asians. Like it seems like the Asians
in terms of the school that I work at, my school's the reverse, on the basis that I deal with young people with ADHD, motor delay, autism, and behavioural difficulties, and this is a special provision for them to try and rehabilitate themselves and go back to mainstream school.
Right. Okay.
So my level of input is to try and get them to see the negative of their ways and self-regulate, so that they don't then keep on, having this repetitive behaviour that's going to get them into trouble, which unfortunately has allowed them to be, removed from their mainstream school, which is then obviously stunting their learning.
Yes.
Because all that happens is if you put young individuals in an area or a compound where they're all alike, the likelihood is they're all going to tear each other's heads off.
That's true. That's very true.
Rather than trying to help one another to get to a point, they're all going to go, well, hold on a minute, you're more nonsense than I am, so I'm going to take you out, or I'm not going to hear it from you. Like, don't talk to me like that, this and other. So my mindset is to try and get them to self-regulate and reflect on their behaviour, rather than react to other people, other young people's behaviours around them.
It's rather interesting. That's very, very interesting what you're doing over there, because it's definitely you wouldn't think that kids would need that type of support.
No, they do. Nature and nurture. Nature and nurture. So it's we do a hell of a lot. Me and my colleagues and I do a hell of a lot there in regards to just the repetitive nature of our job, and as I said, trying to get young people to self-regulate. Now, the question you asked me in terms of the populace in our school, majority come from ethnic minority. So and that's just the way it is in terms of demographically.
Is it because of location of where the school is, or?
No, I'd say location of where the school is, but then I'd say it's the way in which certain people live, or life choices certain people have made, that then have a knock-on effect or a domino effect on certain provisions like this being around in order to cater for these young individuals.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Right, man, John, man, thank you, man. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you're welcome, man. You're welcome.
It's been good having you. Hopefully to have you again. You know what I mean? Like,
no, definitely. I'm already readily available. You know, when you need me, I'm definitely, you know, keen to talk about any other, you know, topics that are very much at the forefront of, you know, media. Basically,
no,
there's a lot that we can discuss.
No,
you know,
there is. I mean, we've got the stuff happening in London, of course, people stabbing and, you know, all of that
acid
kind of
attacks
stuff.
and so forth,
acid
you know,
attacks,
and that sort of perception. Yeah,
all of that going on. As well as that, this man right here is a Liverpool fan, so
are you, John?
You know,
I am indeed. Yes,
that's I like you as well. You know,
Which support Liverpool as well, yeah.
Nah, I'm a United fan.
Oh, Man United. My brother supports United, so yeah, we have
that little split there.
Yeah, we have a Cold War-esque rivalry, you know, that type of undertone there. But it's all good. It's all no fisticuffs or anyone getting angry and not speaking to someone for a long time. We just get on with it. You know,
it's not that deep.
The days, whether we win, lose, or draw, those players will be going home with their nice weekly pay, and we won't be having any taste of that. So let's put it into perspective, and let's not lose the regulation of our hearts just because our team lost, you know, or didn't perform well.
I think a lot of us sort of get caught up in the football sort
of
the religion, isn't it? And we just, you know, tend to lose touch with reality and stuff like that.
I would bring things down to layman terms and just look. Let's be honest here. If Steven Gerrard, when he done that slip or whatever it was that cost us the league or whatever it may be, if I was getting some of his paycheck, lovely. I'll keep quiet. I'll even go and rub his back. Say sorry, bro. Cool, man. You know, it happens. You know, it happens. Lovely.
Does that slip still haunt you?
You know.
Does the Gerrard slips, does it still sort of ring in your mind?
Sorry? Well, you know, these things are historical, you know. So it's in the past, we move forward. He's gone on, he's managing now. And we have the cohort that we have at Liverpool now doing what they can do to try and win the league. That's it.
Do you think they'll win the league this season?
Well, it's everyone's guess, but no Liverpool fan will sit there and say he's willing his side not to win or willing his side not to win, take home the league trophy. Of course I want Liverpool to win. But I'm very, what's the word? I'm very humble in our recent form. I'm just trying to, just drip feed my excitement until we actually take hold of the trophy. Fine.
Yeah.
Take hold of it. Lovely. There you go. Ecstatic. I'll even go to Liverpool.
Oh, you'd actually go, yeah?
I would go 100%. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. I've been up to the Kop many times. I've watched football Liverpool play. No problem.
Nice. I'm not hoping it doesn't happen. I hope they do well, but not that well. But I'm hoping that you guys can touch a distance and touch it and slip up again. But no, I think so far they've shown really good form. I think Salah and the front three, especially Van Dijk, he's been a massive input into that team.
He's solid. Yeah.
So I think with them and Man City, I think it'll go down to the last day. To be honest, I
believe so as well. Yeah, definitely it will. But we'll see. Football's a game of two halves. So that's what I always say. That's my ending sort of quote when it comes to football chat. I said, look, just let them play, and we'll see what happens.
Good, nice one, John. John, where can we find you on social media? I don't know if you're active on there.
Social media, yeah, I'm there, but I'm private. So just send me what Jay Brasco Jr.
Yeah,
I'm up there on the old Facebook, but I do need to get involved more in the whole sort of Instagram movement. But that will only come with my sort of project ventures. I'm not doing it just for normal browsing or anything like that. I'm doing it for good notion. So watch this space. When I do get that criteria, I will. I'll let you know.
Yeah, and this is a real. I mean, look, with John, there's so many, how you say, strings to his bow. Because he's a businessman. He works in the educational sector as well. Sportsman. You know what I mean?
I try my best. My bones are getting old. 36 going on 21. I think I'm 21. The mind tells me I am, but my bones are saying.
And he's
very careful.
He's also a car enthusiast. So this is a
big car enthusiast.
That's a big one we got to do. You know what I mean? Because there's a few models which are being released this year, which I'm quite excited. Not that I can have them anyway, but I'm excited about them.
Not me.
In our lifetime, Francis, Richard, I tell you, there'll be a time where one of us will be in a position to be like, you know what, come around just for the week, take a week off work. Someone will be able to sort that out, no problem, and we'll just go and test some cars. That's all. That's what life should be about. Doing something ad hoc and going and doing it and getting it. That's what people are doing that now.
Yes,
people are doing that now.
Yeah.
Planning some sort of trip to go off and enjoy themselves with a group of friends. Maybe one friend is in a position to just say, look, man, or family members looking to say, don't worry, I've got you covered, just fly out. It's cool. And that's the levels that I would like to try and get myself to, that I can assist my immediate and my extended. And I pray that God gives me that blessing so that I can do that. Because I know how life should be lived. We're not living that life now, not at all.
Yeah.
Far from. So we're heading towards that. I kid you not. We have to.
No, for sure, man.
Definitely on the right track as well. So,
with that being said, peoples, we're out. You know what I mean? We're out of here. You know.
No worries.
Thank you once again.
But yeah, cheers, John. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, take care, bro. We'll catch up
for
sure.
Take care. Stay blessed.
You too, man. See ya.
All right, bye-bye. Bye.
I think that was an hour.